longest-running play in the history of Indian English theatre. He has acted across Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, and Bhojpuri films, and wrote and directed India's first English feature film, God Only Knows, distributed by Warner Brothers. He also created television milestones by writing Doordarshan's first Hindi breakfast serial, Dhamal, anchoring India's first advertising and marketing show, Dream Merchants on ZTV, and hosting Star TV's international show, Shock TV. Among his many remarkable achievements, he also conceptualized the music video for former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's poem Unki Yaad Karna, served for 40 years as a selector for participants on Kaun Banega Crorepati, and in 2014 wrote one of the most recognizable political campaign lines in modern India, Apki Baat Modi Sarkar. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the brilliant, multifaceted, and ever-entertaining Bharat Dabholkar. And now, to conduct this very special conversation, we could not have asked for a more fitting moderator. When a personality like Bharat Dabholkar is spoken about, the world knows about the advertising genius, creative powerhouse, theatre personality. But very few get the privilege of seeing the many dimensions behind the legend. An intellect, a family man, his humor, his discipline, pretty much the person beyond the public image. Our moderator this evening is someone who has had that privilege firsthand. Having grown up closely observing and interacting with him over the years, he brings not only professional credibility, but also a deeply personal understanding to this conversation. Advocate Harshavardhan Bhende practices before the courts in Pune as well as in the Bombay High Court, and is known for representing a diverse clientele across several high-profile matters. His notable legal work includes representing the Tirumala Devasthanam, the Navi Mumbai Temple project, appearing in the airline refund cases before the Supreme Court, and securing vital animal rights and dog walking permissions from the Bombay High Court during the COVID-19 pandemic. Beyond the courtroom, he is also the founder of Risham, a charitable trust dedicated to impactful social work. Under his leadership, the organization has supported over 150 underprivileged, visually impaired children with medical and financial aid to restore their eyesight, while also ensuring education support. Passionate about youth empowerment, he has also funded underprivileged athletes who went on to win at the India Rock Climbing Championships. Guided by the inspiring motto, Drishti Nahi, Drishtikon Badalna Hai, not just vision, but changing perspectives, he continues to bridge the worlds of justice and social welfare with remarkable commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Advocate Harshavardhan Bhende. And now, without further ado, I take your permission to step away and let the show begin. Over to you, Harsh.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of Rotary, of all the clubs participating today, and all the esteemed guests who are here today. Thank you, Ms. Agashe, for the wonderful introduction. Before I start, I just want to say that this is an absolute honor and privilege that has been bestowed upon me to be here as a moderator for this wonderful talk. Let's face it, I am the most unlikely candidate for this kind of a job. Never done this before, so if I make mistakes, please bear with me. But normally, in my profession, when it comes to questioning, it happens in the courtroom, and they're the most hostile environments that we face. So I'll try to keep the hostilities low today and keep it more fun as much as possible. Tonight is a special night for me because I have the privilege of sitting on stage with a person who I have grown up idolizing my entire life. Uh, I've had the distinct pleasure of having him as family, and somebody whose guidance has always been paramount to all of us in the family. In fact, I can say this quite openly that I've had a front row seat to the beautiful madness that defines him. So, without further ado, let's begin with our questions for the night.
Now, before you begin, may I make two confessions? One is, whenever I have been invited for any function by a lady, I've always had embarrassing experiences. Some years ago, a lady called me up. I think she was the secretary of the Indo-American Society's Ladies Wing. I think it's called Indus or something. And she came and she said, Mr. Dabholkar, will you come to our club and talk to our members on advertising? And very humbly, I asked her, I said, why are you calling me? There are so many other people who are better than me in advertising, who are better speakers. Why don't you call one of them? I finished saying this, that lady looked at me straight in the eye and said, yes, Mr. Dabholkar, we know there are people who are better than you in advertising, who are better speakers, but most of them are out of town. And last minute, we can't get anybody else, so why don't you come this year? Next year, we'll get a better speaker. So when I'm invited by lady, I don't ask why me, I know why me. So you can save that question. The second thing is, I have spent over 35 years in advertising. And there's one concept that gets drilled into our head. That is that concept of target group, which means that you must know who you are talking to. You can create the most wonderful campaign, it goes to a wrong audience, it doesn't work. So when I come for these kinds of functions, I don't know who I'm talking to. And even the importance of target group, I learned in a very embarrassing way. I used to do this program called Bottoms Up that you mentioned. And in between two major skits, we used to have what we call the front curtain joke that gave a chance for the main actors to change their makeup or costumes or whatever. And we had Ruby Patel, who was a very senior actress, and Sunita Rao, who was a singer.
Yes.
So we had a front curtain joke of these two, a mother taking her daughter to the zoo. And they're walking around, and the mother says, are you enjoying your visit, dear? And she said, yeah, mommy, lovely, look at those monkeys, look at those giraffes. And the mother says, any questions for mommy? And she says, mommy, tell me, how do lions make love? And the mother looks very embarrassed and says, how do lions make love? I don't know, darling, all your father's friends are Rotarians. And we did that for some 300 shows, always got a fantastic response. We were performing this show at the NCPA Nariman Point, Mumbai. Full audience, full house. They went and did that joke and there was pin drop silence. And I couldn't figure out what had gone wrong till the producer came running and said, are you mad doing this joke here? This show is sponsored by the Lions Club of Nariman Point. So I realized when I go to a Rotary Club, I can tell this joke. But when I go to a Lions Club, I can't say this. So I found another joke of two ladies discussing it. One lady says, you know, darling, I was watching National Geographic this morning and I just heard that lions make love 9 times in a day. She said, lions make love 9 times in a day? Damn, just this morning I joined the Rotary. So I kept that joke with the Lions Club. Okay, now these are two confessions that I have to make.
But taking on from the element of animals, you have a very unique relationship with animals.
Yeah.
Your home has been less of a home and more of a wildlife sanctuary. And growing up, we've always looked forward to coming there because every time we've been there, there's been some new animal or new creature in the house. Normally, when people say pets, you associate it with dogs, cats. But with you, you have mini goats, miniature monkeys, birds, and an aquarium which is full of piranhas.
Yeah.
And all of them have very unique names. So can you just elaborate on that? Where did this love for animals come
The
from?
love for animals came from my childhood. I grew up in a place where there was animals all around. So I used to get owls. I could get all kinds of animals that I could lay my hands on. Right now I have 6 dogs in the house, and they have all unique names. My dogs were named Shaitan, Osama Bhai, Dawood Bhai, Fulan Devi. I have a pygmy goat, very small pygmy goat. Her name is Biryani. And I've just acquired a new puppy, a Mongolian chow, whose name is Temujin. Temujin was the original name of Genghis Khan.
Yes.
When he became the emperor, he was called Genghis Khan. And then I have 20 piranhas, and they are on a floor tank. So you can walk over that tank. Earlier, I used to have that tank in my office. My cabin was a very unique cabin. It was a small cabin. One half was a proper place where I sat. The entire front was a glass, and there was a piranha tank in that thing. So the clients came and sat on that piranha tank. So there were 20 piranhas under their feet, and I had put a plastic skeleton that sort of threw out bubbles. And I said, "That's the client who didn't pay us on time." And I had a small monkey, the world's smallest monkey, marmoset, whose name was Mighty Kong, and he was loose. I had a bulldog that used to come to office with me. So my client sat on the glass with piranhas under his feet, a bulldog sitting and staring at him, and the small monkey would jump on his shoulder and take away his pen. So nobody argued with me. Whatever I said, they approved and went away because they wanted to get out of that office very fast. So now I have that at home. So anybody comes, nobody argues. So that's,
But you have some more animals. You have a dog by the name of Osho. If I'm not,
yeah.
you had one by the
I
name
had
of Osho.
long back, yeah.
You have turtles, and
Yeah.
they are very unique names. So I think one is called P.T. Usha, and the other one is called Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah, because turtles are the slowest animals, so I think they should have the most totally different names.
So apart from this fetish for animals, you also have another fetish which is for vehicles. And
Yeah.
now, when you say vehicles, normally all of us would have a car, a scooter, or a bike. With him, it's different. If it's a car, it's not normal. It's something else has happened to it.
Yeah.
And now you have something more, or rather, you have two more things that are very unique to you. Can you just tell us about it?
Well, I buy old cars and design things to them and make them unique. So I have a Toyota Hilux Surf, which has huge tires, and it's a very high car. And people used to come and say, "Kaun sa gaadi hai?" I would say, "It's a Toyota." He said, "If it's Toyota, how come it looks like this?" And I would say, "It's a Toyota on steroids." So I made a sticker and put it on the car saying Toyota on steroids. So I have different cars because I designed them and I put different kinds of wraps on them. I had a Volkswagen Beetle which was covered with a denim wrap.
Yes.
I actually shot denim cloth and made a wrap on that. Then I bought a second-hand Nano car. Now Nano is the cheapest car in the world. So I said, how can I make it look more cheap? So I actually made a wrap which is a rusted wrap. So the entire car, a beautiful white car, was covered with the rusted wrap. It looked totally rusted. And then I had a little box, donation box in the car. It said, please donate generously so I can paint my car. And you wouldn't believe this, actually, strangers on the road, I collected 250 rupees in that box that I could paint the car. So I do these kinds of things for fun. So I had a rickshaw.
Yes.
Uh, 15 years back, in my college time, I had a bike. So I thought, let me buy a bike when I was in agency. And I said, look, bike won't be convenient because if you're going for a meeting, you're carrying your laptop, where would you put a laptop? So I said, let's buy a rickshaw. That time I found 15 years ago or more than that the rickshaw at that time cost about 1,30,000 rupees. I didn't want to spend that kind of money. So I bought a second-hand rickshaw for 17,000 rupees. I painted that silver. I have a house at Worli in Mumbai. So from Bangkok, I got a sticker made, a Harley Davidson sticker, and called it Worli Davidson, and put that on the rickshaw. And that rickshaw was not a commercial rickshaw, so I could take it whenever I wanted. So I could go anywhere in Mumbai. I didn't have the restriction that most commercial rickshaws have. They can't go beyond mine. And in the Navy Nagar in Mumbai, which houses the senior most admirals and generals when they're in town, they have a thing called Admiral Soman Memorial Lecture. They have a beautiful hall. And every year they call somebody from outside to give a talk. So one year they called me and said, Sunday morning, it's at 10 o'clock. It's your lecture. All the generals and admirals and vice admirals, the wives, they'll be in attendance. So I said, don't worry, I'm never late. I'll come in time. I'll come at 9:30. They said, no, sir, you can't do that. We have a protocol. When the guest is arriving, we have our motorcycle riders who herald him in. So while the generals and their wives are having tea, this sort of cavalcade, the thing comes in with you. So I went in my rickshaw and I called up that guy. I said, Commander Rajan, I'm here at Regal Cinema. He said, which car are you in? I said, no, I'm in a rickshaw. He said, no, sir, don't joke. I said, no, I can see your riders. So I waved at them. I went for that function with two naval riders on white bikes with those flags flying and me in a rickshaw behind them. And after my talk got over, I had to wait for an hour and a half because everybody wanted a picture in my rickshaw. And they're like, they're army people and navy people, so they're very disciplined. They were all waiting in a queue. The general would come and say, may I take a picture in your rickshaw? Then he would sit in the front, his wife would sit at the back. Then his wife would sit in the front, he would sit at the back. And I said, if I had a Rolls Royce, they wouldn't have done this. But for my rickshaw, I had to wait for an hour and a half. But then, 4 years ago, the RTO in Mumbai removed that permission. I can't take it out. So I had to just keep it at home. So 6 months ago, I bought myself a electronic rickshaw that Mahindra they have launched. The only problem is it's black and yellow. It has a meter, and I had to go and get a rickshawala badge, which I have done. So I go around with a rickshawala badge, and I can drive that up to Mahim, and I take it around. And I'm hoping somebody will flag it so I can take it.
And you have some very unique things written on your rickshaw.
See, behind these trucks and all that, they have these shairis written. So I said, I am a commercial vehicle, so I wrote two shairis and stuck them at the back. So I think, I don't remember the exact word, but one says, मर्सिडीज और BMW तो हजारों फिरती हैं, खूबसूरत लड़कियां तो मेरी रिक्शा पे मरती है. So that was one thing. And the other one is says, मेरे पास बंगला है, गाड़ी है, धन है, दौलत है, क्या है तुम्हारे पास? So the answer is, मेरे पास रिक्शा है. Then he says, so माँ किसके पास है? So these are three things that I've written. I've stuck it on that. And I've made a Rolls Royce sticker, the Rolls Royce logo. And I've called it Rolls as in chicken rolls and rice as in bowl of rice. So it says Rolls Rice. So I have a chicken roll and rice. So if Rolls Royce ever finds out, they'll sue me for this. So the idea is having fun.
Absolutely. And something that suits your personality so well. All the
It doesn't suit my personality. Nobody argues with me. I am a boxer. So people may say whatever they want behind my back. On my face nobody sees anything. So it's nothing to do with the personality.
So let's go back a few years, rather many years. I don't want to bring in your age because that's something you don't like. But you started your schooling in a Marathi medium school in Girgaon,
Yeah.
Chowpatty, Aryans.
Yeah.
While most of your family and your cousins were all in convent English medium
Yes,
schools,
all of them. Yeah.
you were in a Marathi medium school.
Yeah.
First of all, why did you go to a Marathi medium school? Number one, and number two is, what are the challenges that you faced being there?
No, why I went, I mean, I didn't have a choice because they put me in a Marathi medium school because someone told my father that there's a good school in Girgaon and if he learns Marathi, which I now, in retrospect, thank him for that.
Yes.
Because what I find is if you learn in English medium school, you know English, but you don't know anything about the Maharashtrian culture or Indian culture. You don't know literature, you don't know poetry in Marathi. Now, guys like us, because we study in Marathi, we know all of that and you can pick up English later. So I spent from my first standard till SSC in Aryan school, Marathi. All our subjects were in Marathi. We also had Bhagavad Gita as a subject. I had also taken Sanskrit as a language. And from the 7th standard, we had to learn one chapter and write an exam on Bhagavad Gita. So I think it was a fantastic experience. And as I was just telling some pretty ladies that I met just now, that after school, I got into Elphinstone College.
Yes.
Which was Elphinstone and Xavier's, that time were this sophisticated South Bombay top of the line colleges. And I joined first year arts. And I had 145 of the prettiest girls in Mumbai in my class. One was a Miss Bombay, one was a Miss Navy Queen, that kind of pretty girls.
Right.
145 girls and 5 boys. One was a blind guy, so he wasn't interested in girls. One was the principal's son whose parents stayed on the top floor, so his mother or father would be watching and saying, Abhyas kar, don't fool around with girls. So he couldn't talk to girls. The third one was a very studious guy. That left two of us who were interested in girls. And nobody believes it, but I was better looking than that guy. But the problem is, I couldn't speak English. So even if a girl came up to me and said, let's bunk the next lecture and go for a film, I would answer that in my mind first, in Marathi. मी आईला घरी जेवायला येतो म्हणून सांगितलं मी नाही येऊ शकत. Then I would translate that. I have told my mother I'll come home for lunch, so I will not be able to go. I would say it 2-3 times to make sure my pronunciations are right. So by the time I had an answer ready, that girl would have gone for the film and come back. So I had to pick up English very fast. I had 145 reasons. So I mixed different languages and made a different language called English.
Right. So that laid the foundation for English
And
going
that,
ahead.
that in fact continued in advertising and in theatre.
Absolutely. But while you were in Elphinstone, you didn't just so education was one part of what you did there. You participated in dance troupes. You were part of the boxing team.
Yeah, I represented the college for 1 year in junior welterweight and in the university level intercollegiate in senior welterweight for a year. So 2 years I boxed. And the other part nobody believes that we have a thing called the Youth Festival Trophy in Mumbai, which is under the University of Mumbai, and all colleges participate in that. And they have debates, dramas, elocution, everything there, dance. So we participated, 4 boys and 4 girls. We did modern ballet dance,
Wow.
and we won the gold trophy that year.
You did.
We defeated all the colleges. And next year we did a Spanish gypsy dance, and again won the gold trophy.
Wow.
That's the first and last my touch with dancing. Then I stopped.
You did some dancing in Bollywood.
Bollywood, I did Bollywood. See, you can
That
do whatever.
also
Nobody
did
looks
fun.
at you. I did a dance next to Salman Khan. Now who will look at me? So whether I do a right move or wrong move, it makes no difference. Because Salman Khan is everybody looking at. I just have to stand and make some movement.
Absolutely. So while you were in college, you also I think you were in theatre as well in college.
No. College, I tried to do a Marathi play.
Yeah.
They took me in a Marathi play called Usna Naura. And we used to practice in a Marathi departmental head in his room. We used to sit behind the partition and he
Yes.
would sort of hear the rehearsals. So after about 4 days, the professor came and said, who's that boy who's doing the role of Usna Naura? They said, Bharat Dabholkar. So they said, he's an extremely bad actor, throw him out. So they threw me out. So that was my last thing of doing theatre in college. I never did theatre.
But you also took up another hobby, which was bodybuilding, and your inspiration.
Boxing I used to do.
But you used to have a lot of interest in bodybuilding with inspirations like Steve Reeves and Tara Singh.
Yeah.
So where did that come from?
Dara Singh's fights I used to see from my school days. I used to buy the 3 rupee ticket and go and watch it. And then when I got into advertising, I was doing advertising for Nutramul, which is Amul's like Bonvita, it's a drink. So I wanted to do a film with Dara Singh and Jugal Hansraj, who was a Nutramul Dada.
Yes.
So I went to pick up Dara Singh. I drove him to the location. And on the way I told him, sir, I am your very big fan. And now everybody tells him that. So I told him year-wise who he had fought. And he was totally impressed to another level. I said, in this year you fought Sky Highly, then your leg got hurt, then last year you found. And he said, have you really watched all these things? And I said, yeah. So he said, don't buy a 3 rupee ticket, I'll give you a pass. So he gave me a ringside pass.
Wow.
The problem with the ringside pass was, in the 3 rupee thing, there were rickshawalas and taxiwalas who really believe what is happening. The ringside guys didn't believe. So they said, "Yes, sir, jhoot hai, yeah, it's all planned." I didn't want to sit with those guys. So I went to Tara Singh and I said, "Can you give me a pass for the 3 rupee songs?" He said, "No, there's no pass for that." So I said, "I'll pay for my tickets." But we became great friends. I used to go for every birthday of his. I used to attend. I was very, very fond of Tara Singh.
So your love for bodybuilding also got you some praise from the great Bharat Thackeray at one event. I remember you talking about that.
No, Bharat Thackeray, I got into a problem with some Amul hoarding that we can
Yes.
talk later. Bodybuilding, Bharat Thackeray didn't do it.
Where he said this is a builder and not the other one.
So that we did at a shooting. We had one of the biggest builders in Mumbai who owns Kamla Mills. Maybe he had an office. So I was shooting my film there. And Bharat Thackeray had called him to do the inauguration, to break the naral. So he came. When he was sitting down, and the builder He's a huge, very fat man. So somebody came and said, Bala Sahib, this is Mr. So and so. He's a builder. So Bala Sahib said, Bharat kute hai? Call Bharat. So they called me. So he said, stand next to him. He said, this is Bharat Dabholkar. He's a builder. This is a full building. So even that builder had to laugh. Bala Sahib can say, nobody can complain to Bala Sahib. So even if he cracks a joke on you, he had to laugh and say, yes, yes, I'm a building. So Bala Sahib got into that.
While you were in college, you had an opportunity to visit the Bhosla Military School.
In school, I had done a 2 month training in both.
And it was, I believe, your mother who supported.
No, I was, that time I was in NCC, and that time NCC had a scheme that every year they selected 5 promising students to actually go and join the Indian Army for 2 months. So I was one of the 5 or 6 students selected, and we were to be sent to Kutch on the border where they had just fought a war. And I had to work there, study there for 2 months with 16 Rajput and 9 Rajputana rifles. And my father had to sign a bond to the President of India that in case something happens to him, we won't hold anybody responsible. It's a risk you're taking because you're going on the front.
Yes.
His father said, I won't sign this. You're the only son, I can't send you to the border. My mother was a brave one. She said, I'll sign the form. So I signed the form, and I spent 2 of the best months of my life. That army life was something to die for. We learned everything there. We learned how to assemble machine guns, how to fire machine guns, SLR rifles, night patrolling. The only mistake I made was they said after your day is over, you have to practice, you have to play a game, any sport. So I said, I'll take boxing. I took boxing. I forgot that services boxers are the best boxers in the country.
Yes.
So every day I used to get beaten up. So I went and made a complaint, application saying, can I shift to volleyball? I never played volleyball in my life. So they said, no, once you've chosen a sport, you stick with that sport till the day you leave. So for 2 months, I got thrashed every day from the services boxers, but it was an amazing experience. With army guys, when you meet them, you realize they are a different world altogether. Fantastic.
Right. So post your stint at Elphinstone, you decided to go for law
Yeah,
at GLC, Mumbai.
yeah.
So what was your
No, I
motivation
went for
to that?
law because my lifelong ambition was to be an IPS officer. That was my ambition. That I didn't want to get into advertising or whatever. IPS, to be a policeman was my ambition. And I said, I don't become a policeman, I'll become a lawyer. Now I'll tell you why I'll become a lawyer. You would know, you're a lawyer. In the second year, all of you must know this, we had Mohammedan law. And in Mohammedan law, there's a fantastic concept called mutha marriage, which is marriage by contract. You can marry a woman for 6 months if you want. And we all said, this is how we are going to get married when you get up. Because after 6 months, it automatically dissolves. Then if you want to renew it, you can renew it. But otherwise, after 6 months, 1 year, whatever predetermined period, that's called mutha marriage.
Right.
So we knew that by heart, mutha marriage chapter. All the students knew that this is what we are going to do. In the third year, we had in the paper, we had a saying, write a short note on mutawali. I'd never read that. I'd never seen that word in my life. So I thought mutawali must be the girl who gets married in mutha marriage. So I wrote 2 supplements on that. That the girl who gets married in mutha marriage for a contract marriage is called mutawali, this and that. And the professor called me and he said, have you read this thing? I said, no. He said, mutawali is not the girl who gets married in mutha marriage. Mutawali is the head of a Islamic trust.
Yes.
It's not mutawali, it's mutawali. Law is a very exact science. It's not fantasy. You won't do well in law. Join something where fantasy works. So I got into advertising. So it's that mutawali that made me go there.
But taking from that, you were the first person probably in our family to take up law. And after that, I don't think there was anybody else apart from me
No.
who got into it. And when I was doing my law, I remember my father saying that Bharat Kaka has done law, so you can definitely manage it.
That's a very mean thing to say. Bharat can do it, you can do it. It's not a good thing to say, but we'll forgive him.
But but yeah, I mean, I remember talking to you also when I was doing my law, and you also told me that time that you were the first one to get into practice. So yeah, so you've been the inspiration to do law for me as well.
But the funny part was I looked more like a cop than most cops look. So when I was in advertising, there was on All India Radio one debate on the image of police in the media. So they called me. We had a guy called Pratap Sharma who was the best voice in advertising that time. He was called the Amitabh Bachchan of voiceovers. Perfect English. So they called me, Pratap Sharma, and I think we had a police commissioner called Vakadkar or Painse that time in Mumbai. The three of us were called. No, I reached on time. I had a jeep that time, so I went in the jeep. When I reached the All India Radio compound, 15 people came running. Sabaji Gadi park, they parked my car. They very respectful. I never get this kind of respect, you know. They respectfully took me inside, went to the lift, and they all stood very sort of away from me and said, "Sir, how was your book release?" I said, "Which book release?" They said, "Sir, Governor Saibani, unsa pustak release keda." I said, "I'm Bharat Dabholkar." They stopped the lift there, left me alone in that lift and went down to get that police commissioner. I didn't know where to go. I was alone in that lift. I didn't know which floor I'm supposed to go on. So again, I came down and I told that commissioner, "Sir, because of you, I got lots of respect today." And he said, "I didn't want to be a policeman. I am a MA in history or something. But I said, because of you, I was misunderstood for you. And I was treated very respectfully."
So coming to your advertising life, uh, you finish law, you join Sylvester Ticuna, who's one of the doyens of advertising in those days,
Yes.
and immediately you are on the Amul project.
Yeah.
What was the entire idea behind Amul?
See, the Amul girl was Mr. Dikuna's creation.
Yes.
Even the line, the utterly buttery line, was the last line of a jingle which said, "Amul is the answer to your wishes. It's utterly buttery delicious." So when I started writing for Amul, the Amul girl existed, the line existed. I think my contribution to that was I Indianized that girl.
Yes.
I started doing hoardings in Marathi, Gujarati, Tamil, Bengali, and that girl was not in a polka dotted frock. Then I put her in chaniya choli and no worry sari and all those kinds of things. So I think my contribution was Indianizing the girl. But when we discuss Amul, I always say this that the credit for what Amul was, is, and will be doesn't go to people like us. Creative people you can find dime a dozen. The credit goes to a man called Dr. Kurian.
Yes.
He was one guy who was the world's most unique client. He called us and said, "Look, I understand nothing in advertising. I understand milk and milk products. Don't show me what you do." He's the only client in the world who supported us without seeing what we were doing for him. So if I was sitting here now, a little earlier in the evening, and there was a cricket match going on, and that time Sunil Gavaskar, if he scored a century, I would phone up my office and say, "This is the line, do a drawing like this, I'll come and check it. Tell the hoarding guy to put up a scaffolding and whitewash it. In the night, we'll paint the hoarding." So in the night, the Amul butter hoarding would get painted. And people always wondered that next morning when you open the paper, you read that Sunil Gavaskar scored a century. How come there was a joke of Amul the same night? That was not because of us. That was because a client like Dr. Kurian, who said,
Right.
"Don't show us anything." Nowhere in the world, in any field, advertising, journalism, law, whatever,
Yes.
you have to get approval from your superiors when you are young doing things. Dr. Kurian says, "No, don't show me anything." So that kind of confidence that he had, that's what made Amul what it was.
But you wrote some very unique ads in those days. Um,
Yeah, I did
about
very, I had, see,
Zahir
I'll tell
Abbas.
you, I used to do Ganpati hoardings every year. So one year I had a Ganpati hoarding which showed the girl standing in front of Ganpati with a
I think we
plate.
are also showing it on the screen
You
while.
have a, you have a
Yes,
thing on it.
I've.
So we have a girl standing with a plate with butter in it and Ganpati with a slice of bread in his hand. And the line was Ganpati Bappa more gya. So
Yeah.
that holding went up, and I got I'm sorry about lawyers, but I got a 25-page letter from a lawyer who said, "I am a regular consumer of Amul butter, but your latest hoarding has hurt my religious feelings. In Hinduism, we cannot show a Hindu god holding bread." Because in his explanation, he said, in the olden days, Christian missionaries used to throw a slice of bread in a well, and if you drank water from that, you became a Christian. So because you've shown a Hindu god holding bread, I write to inform you I have stopped eating Amul butter from today. Then he added a proviso saying, but if you give me a personal assurance that you will never repeat this hoarding again, I may reconsider my decision. I wrote him a 4-line letter saying, sir, I'm sorry it has hurt your feelings, but Ganpati is a fun god. See, even our gods, there are certain frozen gods. Like
Yes.
Ram is Ram, Lakshman, Sita, and Hanuman. It's a frozen picture. A Krishna is Radha Krishna. Ganpati is a fun god. He plays cricket, he plays the guitar. You will never repeat this hoarding again. Based on this assurance, I'm happy to tell you I have started eating Amul butter again. So we got that one consumer back by this. So next year, I said, let's not take chances. So I had the same hoarding. Girl had nothing on the plate. Ganpati had nothing in his hand except whatever he normally has. And the line was Ganpati Bappa more dya. I hope. Now I said, this hoarding can't get us into trouble. The Amul Mumbai office got a call from somebody who says, I am a Shaka Pramukh of Marine Drive, Shiv Sena. If you don't remove that hoarding in 48 hours, we'll burn it down. So they said, look, they'll burn it down, remove the hoarding. I said, let's not be in a hurry, let me talk to somebody senior in Shiv Sena. That time I didn't know anybody in Shiv Sena. Now I know everybody. So I got a list of all the senior leaders, Manohar Joshi, Sudhir Joshi, Pramod Navalkar, Sudhir Joshi, all the whole lot. None of them were in town. So in desperation, I called the Bharat Thackeray. I said, Sana, can I get your appointment? So he said, okay, come tomorrow at 11 o'clock to Shiv Sena Bhavan. So I took a copy of that holding, went to Bharat Thackeray, and I said, my name is Bharat Dabholkar. I write the Amul butter hoarding. He said, bus. I didn't know Marathi man was writing it. I'm very proud of you. Marathi people must come forward and write these things. And he says, I am a huge fan of Amul butter. I am a cartoonist myself. Nobody will threaten Amul butter hoarding. But if you are worried, I'll tell the Shaka Pramukh to give protection to that hoarding. So I came to the office and I said, Bharat Sahib has said that he'll give protection. He said, but Shaka Pramukh has called up and said he'll burn it down. What should we do? So we had a long debate and I said, let's keep it on. And let's hope somebody burns it down. For the next 10 days, the Arnab Goswamis, the Rajiv Sardesais, the Barkha Dutts of the world at that time, they'll all come there taking photographs. For the next 10 days, television will be full of debates on that hoarding. What is happening to our country? Are we getting so insensitive? I said, they'll call me for an interview, they'll call Dr. Kurian. I said, don't have that kind of advertising budget. For 10 days, nothing but Amul butter will be talked about in this country. So instead of 10 days of Ganpati, I kept that holding on for 20 days. Even if I was out of the office, I would call up and say, किसी ने जलाया क्या holding? They said, नहीं sir, अभी किसी ने जलाया नहीं, अभी तक है ऐसा. And after 20 days, I took it off. So from that year onwards, I said, no more hoardings on Ganpati. Because I think as a country, we are getting too oversensitive about things. We can't make fun of any religion. Even in the lighter vein, you can't talk. I always tell people, in my writing, theatre, advertising, I don't touch two things, religion and women. When women I touch, not in writing I don't touch. But so I said these two things I don't touch. Easiest thing, safest thing is to touch sports. So I did lots of hoardings on sports. So there's one, I think you may have that.
Zahir Abbas.
Zahir Abbas was scoring a century in every match that he played against us. So I wrote a hoarding which said Zahir Abbas and have some utterly batterly Amul. And there was a match in Karachi and he got out for 14 runs. So he put a banner on Amul holding saying, thank you Zahir for listening to Amul and getting out.
There's another one on Maradona which you had done.
Then there was when Maradona was the star of the world football match. We had done things that Maradona to aisa hona, butter hona to Amul hona. Then there was one day match between India and Pakistan, and on the last ball of Chetan Sharma, Mirada hit a sixer and they won the match. Pakistan won that match. So I had done a thing, Mia ki daad se Sharma gaye, Amul butter. So we used to have fun doing all this. And there was no client to approve. So we really had a great time doing this.
So you did Amul. You also did a very famous ad for Biko, just Biko turmeric.
Yeah, Biko turmeric and Biko vanishing cream and Tanta Manjan.
Yes. You also did something for Videocon in those days.
I did Videocon, I did Fruity, Happy, Bisleri, Thumbs Up 500. And recently I met a mother who came and said, Amchi, our children don't drink milk anymore. Their morning they want to drink fruity, so we give them fruity. I said, don't give fruity, it's not healthy. They said, but you say in advertising mango fruity, fresh and juicy. I said, we say don't believe it, You have to use your brains, don't believe whatever you see in advertising. I said, fruity is 85% water and 15% mango pulp. Don't give it to your children. But in law, we have a thing,
Yes.
buyer beware.
Yes.
You have to use your senses to know what to buy.
And that's where a lot of outbursts have happened in the recent past, where celebrities who've been endorsing brands have been getting into trouble because that particular product is either mis-selling or it's got
That
some.
is, that is very stupid from a consumer point of view. If you find Mahendra Singh Dhoni advertising for a building, why should you believe him? What does he know about buildings? If he talks about a health drink, or cricketing gear, or a bat, or glove, I understand because that's his expertise. You have to also know what to believe from whom. When you see an ad which says Shah Rukh Khan saying Santro is a great car, you should use your brains to know that Shah Rukh Khan doesn't have a Santro.
Yes.
He has a Range Rover. He wouldn't know anything about Santro. So if you buy a Santro because Shah Rukh Khan said it, you are stupid. He is making his money. So a consumer has to be careful about what they believe in advertising. But Vico had one thing to us, Gaju Bhau, Gajanan,
Yeah.
he is the man who started Vico. When he called me for, he said there are two things. One is, do not tell lies in advertising. You can exaggerate if you want slightly, but do not tell lies. We want to tell people what our products contain. That's one. And second is, if you tell me this film costs 20 lakhs, I'll give you 20 lakhs. Tomorrow, if I find out that the film actually was costing only 12 lakhs, and you charged us 20 lakhs, I will not blame you. I'll blame myself, and I'll tell myself that I've lost my ability to judge people anymore. I get fooled by people. I will not blame you. So I have met amazingly innocent, honest clients in India. Indian manufacturers mostly don't tell lies, and multinationals always tell lies. A Hindustan Lever tells more lies than anybody else in advertising business. Every product of theirs they tell lies.
Right.
And Amul would never tell lies, Vico would never tell lies, Tata Tea would never tell lies. Indian companies are honest there.
But you know, it could be safe to say that you practically are somebody who, because of whom pop culture of the 90s really existed, insofar as advertising is concerned. But when we see the ads that are there today, where has it all gone wrong? Because in the 90s or in the 80s, the kind of advertisements that we saw on TV or on the in the newspapers had a certain quality, had a certain sense of innocence in it. Where has that disappeared?
As I see it, there are two reasons for it. One is the clients that today's advertising agencies get are stupid. You know, in our time, as I said, whether it was Dr. Kurian of Amul, or whether it was Prakash Chavan of Parleys, or whether it was Mr. Krishna Kumar of Tata Tea, or Mr. Whoever, who were our clients, they had faith in us. They used us as advisors. Today's clients have different levels of approvals. So young guy gets frustrated. You come with a big idea, the advertising manager would say something, change this. The marketing manager would say change this. General manager would say something else. So that basic idea gets fractured as it goes up and up. So the original idea gets lost. On my email, I have a permanent line which says a camel is a horse designed by a committee. A committee can never design a horse. One man will say उसका पैर थोड़ा लंबा करते हैं यार पीछे कुछ उसको हम देते हैं पकड़ने के लिए. At the end of a committee decision, you'll get a camel. You'll never get a horse. You want a horse? Stick to the first thought that comes. So I think today, one thing is the clients are pretty stupid. They don't give a free hand to these guys. And today's youngsters, I think, are not keeping their eyes and ears open. They get all the information from either WhatsApp forwards or Facebook or Instagram forwards. That is not the world. Advertising is a very technical subject. In fact, in all communications, I have done theatre, I have done films in all languages, I have done television. The most difficult thing is advertising. Because when I do theatre, I do English theatre. I know who my audience is. I know what they like. That this audience likes these kinds of jokes, so I can crack these kinds of jokes. You do a Marathi theatre, you know, if you take Prashant Damle, people love him. When he comes on stage, they want him to sing Sukha Manje Nakki Kaya.
Right.
People are very happy. So you know your audiences. When you do television, you keep on checking things and say this character is working, this is not working. Advertising is the only field where you're talking to people you don't know. I'm talking to a lady in Mumbai, I'm talking to a lady in Pune, I'm talking to a lady in a village in Bihar, I'm talking to a lady in a village in Karnataka. I don't know who they are. And my ad has to appeal to all of them to be successful. And things can go majorly wrong in this.
Yes.
Majorly wrong. Which is why I think today's youngsters also are not taking enough pains to understand the consumer. You go by your surroundings. That my friends like it, my society, if I am in Pune, I'll think my Pune people like it. Pune people is not the world. There's a whole new world outside. Who doesn't think like you. And to create advertising for them, I'll give you one more example. I launched a tea called Agni Chai for Tata Tea in the 90s. That was my tribute to Indian women. That time the women empowerment hadn't come in as a catchphrase. So my campaign was I had a jingle, and the last two lines were शक्ति का है रूप यही अग्नि है यही नए समाज की उम्मीदों का प्रतीक है यही अग्निशाई. I said this is a tribute to the Indian woman, and we always do research. So I had cuttings from different films as a woman pilot, a woman police commissioner, a woman judge, a woman successful lawyer, and this jingle. And we started testing it. Mumbai, fantastic response. Pune, fantastic response from the women. Delhi, damn good response. Then we started testing that in smaller towns. And I went with the research team to a town called Chandosi, which is on the border of UP and Bihar. And there, women had a completely different response. They said, ये औरत क्या सिर्फ तेल उड़ाती है क्या? घर में बच्चों की पढ़ाई लेती नहीं है क्या? ये अपने पति के साथ बैठ के चाय नहीं पीती क्या? ये अपने सास ससुर ये करवा चौथ नहीं करती क्या? For them, empowered woman was not just a successful woman outside. She had to be a good mother, a good housewife, a good daughter-in-law, a good daughter, and that changed our entire perspective. So we created that ad with a woman pilot, but also a woman mother who was taking her children's studies and they're winning some prize in school. She is serving, there's a joint family and she's serving tea to everybody. And that worked. In Bengal, we had a completely different response. The Bengali women said, we are very empowered. हमारे घर में हमारी चलती है, हमारे husband listen to whatever we say. So we don't need tea to get empowered. Give us a tea that gives more cups. So for Bengal, we created a new campaign. So this is the learning you must have, that you do not know your consumer and you have to create ads that are suitable for them, which people aren't doing today.
Right.
And the other thing they're doing wrong is they're replacing creative ideas with film stars.
Yes.
Every ad you see a film star, it makes no sense. A film star can be used to enhance an idea because they are great actors. You just can't have Amitabh Bachchan standing in a suit pointing a finger. It could be Kalyan Jewelers, it could be some cash trade, it could be some bank. You don't even know what he's advertising.
Right.
But you can afford Amitabh Bachchan, so you take it. Makes no sense. So advertising is going mediocre because of these things. No one is thinking of creative ideas. It's easier to get a Shah Rukh Khan, you're fine. You get a Hrithik Roshan or whoever you want. You pay that money, and people think that it'll work. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Now, you're celebrated as the father of English. You came in and brought in this aspect of English, especially at a time where ads were in pristine English or in very formal Hindi or formal Marathi. What made you change the way India perceives an ad or how that ad should be really put out to the public?
Those 145 girls in my college. I had to talk to them in some language. So I know Gujarati. I read, write, and speak in Gujarati. I grew up with Gujaratis. I know Kutchi. I grew up with Kutchis. So I know Gujarati, I know Hindi, I know Marathi. So I said if I get caught up for a word, I would use a Gujarati word or a Marathi word. So that was a compulsion. It was not some great genius idea. It was a handicap that I had. I couldn't speak both the languages, so I had to mix and match. Thankfully, it became fashionable, and somebody said, Bharat Dabholkar is the father of English. I am not a father of English. It's a compulsion that I had. It's a handicap that I had to solve for those 145 girls.
So we'll now come to another phase of your life where you became a part of Publicis. You thereafter started Zen Advertising, which was your own advertising agency. What was the plethora of work that you really took up when you were at Zen? Because you didn't just do work in India, but you also did work in Tanzania.
Yeah.
So, how was it different to cater to the audience in India versus in Tanzania?
There's no difference. World over, there is no difference in people. L'Oreal, I used to handle L'Oreal. And L'Oreal taught us one thing, that remember one thing, you're not selling a tube of cream. You're selling the idea of beauty to a woman. And every woman, whether it's in India, Tanzania, Kenya, America, they want to be beautiful. What you are saying is, if you use L'Oreal, you'll be beautiful. So that doesn't change anywhere. So your promise, what you're advertising, doesn't change. It remains the same. Your vehicles change. A beautiful girl in India may be a different kind of a girl. In Africa, it will be a dark girl with short hair. Here, it will be a fair girl with long hair. But the idea for an African, she is beautiful and she wants to be beautiful. So, in advertising, your vehicles change, your executional things change. Computer graphics change advertising. Now, AI has come, AI is changing advertising. But basic promise doesn't change. Free is still a good word.
Yes.
One-on-one free, we did that 50 years ago, we can do it till today. You look beautiful, you can do then. The biggest, I mean, that I must tell you, the biggest mistake people are making now is they're calling something called Gen Z.
Yes.
There's nothing like Gen Z. Gen Z is an American word that we are adopting as a regular thing. Gen Z is not different from you or me. They say Gen Z does not have patience. Even we didn't have patience. We didn't have a choice. I give an example of a television. When I got television in the house, there was one television. So we all sat and watched Rajani, Karamchand, Mahabharat, Ramayana. The whole family sat and watched that.
Yes.
It's not that we didn't have a fickle mind. We didn't have a choice. We just watched that. Then Z TV started. Then we had Z to watch or Doordarshan to watch. But there was no remote. So you had to get up and go to a TV and
Yes.
press a button to change the channel, which you can't keep on doing all the time. So you watched whatever was going on. Then came 100 channels and the remote. So you started shifting channels from your chair. Then came a phone. We just shifted, and so Gen Z is not different. Gen Z has more alternatives. If we had that alternative, we would have been Gen
It's the
Z.
same. Right.
But now people are using this Gen Z as a thing. No, Gen Z don't have patience. Gen Z don't have patience, even we didn't have patience.
Right.
My grandmother wanted to look beautiful, so she used powder maybe. My mother wanted, she used some Charmis Snow or something. Today's young girls have more choice. It's not that my grandmother didn't want to look beautiful. They all wanted to look beautiful. That hasn't changed over generations.
Right.
So wanting to look good hasn't changed. Your choice hasn't changed. A free thing hasn't changed. What has changed is your choices have become more.
Right.
If you are married to a girl, you are stuck with her. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But if you are an Arab sheikh and you had a harem of 100, you have a choice. So you are the same guy. You can say, yeah, ye ladki, Monday, this, Tuesday, this, Wednesday. You don't have that choice. Not because you don't want it. I mean, I'm not saying you, I mean anybody.
You do realize
No, but I had that joke in my play. I used to play a Arab sheikh, and there was a voiceover. So I was the Arab sheikh, and Kishore Pradhan was my slave. So the voiceover was Sultan Dust bin Tughlaq, that was my name. Had a big palatial bungalow, and he had a harem house 1 mile away from his palace. And he had a faithful servant called Abdullah. And every night, Abdullah would run to the harem, get a woman, give it to the Sultan. When he was finished, take her back, get another woman. And one night, after running between the palace and the harem house, the poor Abdullah just collapsed and died. And in that, there's a moral to the story that sex by itself is not bad for your health. It's running after sex that can kill a man.
Absolutely. So now we'll come to your, since you already opened the doors to your theatre life. You did your first play, which was adaptation of Pula Deshpande's Tuzaye Tuzapashi. Now, Pula has played a very huge role
Yes,
as an inspiration for you.
yes.
What and why did you choose Tuzaye Tuzapashi as a play that you wanted to adapt into English? And why not any of the other plays that he had?
I'll tell you one thing, like every Marathi boy or girl, for us, Pula was God.
Yes.
And I had seen Tuzai Tuzabashi maybe 2 or 3 times as a young boy.
Yes.
So when I thought of writing a play, I wrote the first English play ever written.
Yes.
Was Tuzai Tuzabashi. I called it It's All Your Janab. And it had shairi in it. It had Sanskrit sloks in it. It had reference to Mahabharata. I wrote the whole script. I went to the topmost guys in Mumbai. I went to Alec Padamsi, who was a chap known to me, Pearl Padamsi, Hosi Vasunia, Sylvester Dikuna, and they all said this language won't work. We are talking to an English audience. A little joke like this is fine, but a whole 3-act play like this won't work. I wrote to Pula Deshpande saying that I would love your permission to do this play. Will you give me permission? And he said no. He wrote a letter to me saying, no, I will not give you permission because this play has been done in Hindi, it's been done in Gujarati, it's been done in Kannada, and it hasn't got the flavor of the Marathi play, so don't even try it. I wrote to him again. I said, sir, I'm not from theatre. I've just got into advertising. I've written the script of this play as I see it. I'll send you the script. You tell me what changes to make, I'll make those changes. You say, don't do it, I won't do it. And you won't believe this. Fuller sent me a letter, which unfortunately I don't have today. He wrote me a letter saying, I've gone through your script, do it without changing a single word. Because this is the English the whole of India will be speaking 10 years from now.
Right.
So whatever I have done, my 35 plays in English, the man responsible is Fuller Deshpande. It's his blessing that started this entire English thing.
And just to give you all a little bit of insight, uh, I am privileged in a way because my mother was considered to be his, like his daughter. And we had the privilege to have very close connections with Pullard during his lifetime. So, yeah, I mean, Pullard was an absolute god when it came
And
to.
I know more about what Fuller has written than he himself knows.
Right.
I've read it so many times.
Right.
When he was the director of NCPA in Mumbai, so whenever he came there, my office was at Nariman Point. So I had a permanent request to his secretary that whenever Pula is free, I just want to come and sit there. I have no work.
Right.
Even if he's talking to somebody, I just want to listen to him talk.
Right.
So I used to always go and sit in the NCPA office whenever I had time and whenever he had time.
Right.
And once I was sitting and talking to him, and Sunita Bhai, his wife, came out and said, Bhai, what are you doing talking to Bharat? We have to go to the airport to receive Dinesh. So I said, Dineshच्या कुल्याला खळ्या पडतात का हो अजून? And he was quite stunned, because in one of his books, he had written a character, which is his nephew called Dinesh, who used to walk around as a child nude in the house. And he had written that the dimples on a small child's buttock is prettier than a dimple on a pretty girl's face.
Right.
So the moment they mentioned Dinesh, I remembered this. And he said, "Tula, आठवतं सगळं?" म्हटलं, I have read everything of yours so many times till today I read it.
Absolutely.
But he was an amazing guy.
Post, and I have reason to believe that Tuzai Tuzabashi is being revived. Rather, It's All Yours Janab is being revived.
Yeah.
And we will see a newer version of it.
Yeah, I'm going to start rehearsing that from the 15th of June.
So we look forward to seeing
And
it.
we bring it here.
After that, you created one of India's most loved plays, a topical play called Bottoms Up,
Yeah.
which would keep changing every week
Yeah.
or every month.
Yeah.
And in that, you brought together some of the biggest names in theatre, whether it's Viju Kote, Atmaram Bhende, Kishore
Everybody.
Pradhan,
Dilip
Vimal
Prabhakar,
Naik.
Atmaram Bhende, Neena Kulkarni, Smita Jaikar, Atul Patsure, Atul
Right.
Kali, you name it, and they were all in the play.
And you also gave breaks to people like Arshad Varsi and
See, Javed
Amata.
Jafri was a dancer in my play.
Yes.
Then I forced him to act. So he started acting and he became a Javed Jafri.
Yeah.
Then Arshad Varsi was a dancer in my play. And then he's now Arshad Varsi. But the funny thing I must tell you, Arshad Varsi, when he became a star, they had this program on ZTV called Jina Isi Ka Naam Hai.
Yes.
And they used to call some stars, celebrity star, and some people associated in his life. And the guy wouldn't know who has come. And then Farooq Sheikh would call one by one and ask about what do you think of him. So they called me for Arshad Varsi show. So I told Farooq, who was a friend of mine, I said, look, I won't say the nice things that people say. I knew about him, I knew he was very talented, that he'll always do well in film. ऐसा नहीं बोलूँगा मैं. He said, "Uska insult mat karo." I said, "Don't worry, Arshad, and I have friends. He'll understand." So Farooq called me on the show. Before that, there was Arshad's sister, his school principal, and they said the standard thing. From childhood, he was a guy who had talent to do this. We knew he would make it big, vagara, vagara. Then they called me. So he said, "What is your experience of Arshad?" I said, "Look, Arshad joined my team as a dancer. After about 2 shows, I realized he's not a good dancer. So I told him, dancing chhod de. Why don't you try choreography?" So he choreographed 4 of my plays. And I realized he's not a good choreographer. So I said, "Choreography chhod de, acting kar do." Then I gave him some small role in my play. Then I realized he's not a good actor. So I told him, "Arshad, Dek, you can't dance, you can't choreograph, you can't act. So don't be here. Join Bollywood. You don't need any of this there. You'll be successful." So he joined Bollywood and became a star.
But what was the idea behind Bottoms Up? I mean, how did that come about?
See, bottoms up, there are two kinds of plays. There's the British topical comedy that goes up, where people like us just sit in two suits and they do brilliant comedy. Just two people, different skits, topical skits. And then there's the French review, the Moulin Rouge kind, where there's very pretty girls and boys dancing around and funny things. So I combined the two. What I did, I said, let's combine humor and glamour. So we had some of the most brilliant actors from Marathi stage, Gujarati stage, Hindi stage, Harish Patel, Mohan Bhandari, Manmohan Krishna, Atmaram Bhende, all these guys. And I had some of the prettiest dancers. Samak Davar was my dancer. He was a choreographer. So we had these beautiful Parsi girls and boys. So there was a glamour that the dancers got to the thing and the brilliant acting that these guys got to the thing. So it was a combination of both. And I would keep changing it practically every week. So we had lots of repeat audience. People would come and see the play again and again because there's something new all the time happening.
And then it transcended into being son of Bottoms Up, grandson of
Then it
Bottoms
became
Up.
son of bottoms up, new look bottoms up, son of bottoms up, grandson of bottoms up, carry on bottoms up. It just went on and on.
So,
Then I did Marathi plays into English again.
yes.
My first was Tuzai Pasha,
Yes.
Pula Deshpande. Then I did Purush in English, which Nana Patekar and
Yes.
Rima Lagu became famous for that play. I did that play in English twice. Ronnie Struwala was the producer. The only problem with that play was everybody came, they loved the play, but they said, this makes us depressed because to watch a play about a school teacher getting raped and not getting justice and fighting for her survival is not something that we want to see in the evening.
Right.
So we did some shows, but it wasn't as successful. Then I did a play called Funny Thing Called Love, which was a Marathi play called Premachuda Ranga Kasa. I did that in English, and we did over 100 shows in London of that play with Hosi Vasunia and Smita Jayakar and all these people. So I did 3 plays from Marathi to English. My recent thing, which I did 2 years ago, was Nathuram Godse, which I have not done the same thing as in Marathi.
Yes.
I've called it Nathuram Godse Must Die. I've done that in English, Hindi, and Gujarati. And for the last 2.5 years, we're performing that. We've done over 100 shows. And we get a fantastic response.
So, what are the challenges for that? Because the Marathi play faced a lot of hurdles just to get it on stage. Whether it was from the pseudo liberals saying that it is you're glorifying Nathuram Godse, or whether it was certain political elements trying to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of the people who come to protest may not even know the full name of Mahatma Gandhi.
No.
So, have you faced any such problems?
I'll tell you, I did not do the play the way it was done in Marathi.
Yes.
Because I didn't agree with it. In Marathi play, Nathuram is portrayed as a hero from the beginning. So when he comes in, when he's arrested, he's brought to the police station. There's a whole spotlight on him. It's like a Rajnikant entry. And he comes in and says, Basa, he sits down. Then they ask him, will you have some tea? And he says, coffee milel ka. And I said, he's a man who's killed Gandhiji.
No
That
chance.
same night, you don't go into a police station and sit down and cross your legs and say, coffee milel ka. I thought you can't portray Nathuram as a hero. So in my play, at the beginning I say this, that we are not saying this is right or wrong, because killing anybody is wrong.
Yes.
For whatever the reason is. I mean, that's something that you can't say that I've killed for a good reason is not good enough. So I said, we are keeping in front of you what happened that time which was hidden from you. So I have got an entire scene of Justice Khosla's trial of Nathuram Godse. So I have that entire scene in the play with the Nathuram Godse in a courtroom, talking to Justice Khosla. And Justice Khosla in his book has said this, that that day, if the visitors in the court were made the jury and told to pass a judgment, they would have let Nathuram Godse go as an innocent guy,
Yes.
not guilty. But I, as a judge, had to follow the law, and so I've got all that in the play. And in every play, in English, people come and touch the feet of the guy who's playing Nathuram Godse. The only problem we had was in Pune. We had two shows in Nehru,
Yes. Nehru Memorial Hall. Yeah.
and the police refused permission. Then I had to come with the producer a day earlier and tell them, and they said, I said, look, we are doing this in Mumbai, what's your problem? So the police guy said, Mumbai is different, Pune is different. Pune people keep on protesting every day. So if you say Nathuram Godse must die, people who support Nathuram will come and protest. If you say Nathuram Godse shouldn't die, people who support Gandhi will come in. So don't make the name Nathuram Godse must die, just say Nathuram.
Right.
So we called it Nathuram for Pune. But we had no trouble, nobody came to protest. But in Gujarat, we had trouble.
Okay.
In Gujarati version, we had 6 shows in Gujarat. We had a fantastic tour of Gujarat in Surat, Baroda, and I think Rajkot. When we went to Jamnagar, the people came and said, you can't perform, we'll break the set, we'll not let you perform. The audience was waiting. They said, hell with these guys. We'll wait here, don't have the set, don't have costume, we'll see the play. But the police said you can't do it. So the last 3 shows in Gujarat, we had to cancel. Otherwise, the play goes on. Like we have a show on the 6th in Mumbai in English, we have on the 14th and 21st in Gujarati, and the show is going on.
Apart from this,
And I act in all 3. I'm the only one who is common in all 3 because I can act badly in 6 languages.
but you also, you gave us a play which was also very iconic called Blame It on Yash Raj,
Yeah,
which was a parody on how
weddings are.
happen in today's time. So, what was the inspiration behind that? To be honest.
That whatever I see around us, I used to love the original Maharashtrian weddings, which I don't see anywhere now.
Yeah.
Maharashtrian weddings are very simple. You go in the morning, you get coffee and pohe. Then there's Mangal Ashtak, which nobody understands. You just stand and throw some akshata, which when you're told to throw. Otherwise, you're sitting and showing off, Maji Kanjivaram sari navin घेतली आहे. That's a thing for people to show off their saris and the new jewelry that you made. So no one's really interested in what's happening at the wedding. Then you have a lunch, which is you're sitting down and you have masale bhat. It's a simple Maharashtrian wedding. In the evening, if you're rich, you give kasata. If you're poor, you give normal ice cream.
Right.
And it gets over in a day. And now I see that every wedding becomes a 6-day wedding. So I think I'll write a play about how Bollywood makes it bigger and bigger. So my entire play, and Yash Chopra was very fond of me. I used to meet him quite often. So I told him, sir, it's because of people like you that weddings have become so glamorous. So when I do my play, can I call it, blame it on Yash Raj? And I'm the only one he gave permission. I'm the only one who can use that name Yash Raj. But he passed away before my launch of my play, so he couldn't come.
But in that play, you have a very unique entry where you play the
I
priest
play a priest.
and you come on Harley Davidson on the.
So what happened was, I had no role in that. I wrote and directed it. The last scene was a Sangeet. So I had a 10-minute Sangeet. So everybody had to go and change their clothes for the Sangeet. So they said, we'll take 5 minutes to change clothes. What do we do till then? So I introduced a character of a priest which I used to play. So I used to come on a Harley Davidson bike, and I was a modern priest who didn't know any mantras. So my whole role was I come there and the son says, Panditji, can you tell mantras to our foreign friends in English? And I say, I don't know any mantras. They say, how come you are a priest? Why did you become a priest? He said, look, I wanted to go around without my clothes in public. So I wanted to join Bollywood, but they said Salman Khan is doing it, so you don't have much of a scope. So my second option was being a priest. So he said, but without mantras, how do you manage? So I tell him, have you been to weddings? Do you understand what mantras are being said by the priest? He says, no. He says, nobody understands this and nobody gives a damn. It's just a formality you have to finish so you can go for your cocktails and your honeymoon.
Right.
So the priest nobody listens to. So he says, how? I said, I know nursery rhymes. I know Hindi film dialogues. I can manage with that. So he says, show me. Now I have forgotten all the dialogue. So I said, which nursery rhyme do you know? He said, I know Jack and Jill went up the hill. So I say, okay, now say it this way. Om Swaha. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Pani chodo. God knows what it did there, but they came down with the daughter. Haath jodo. Om Swingam, Swingam, Swingam. Devgan ko pranam karo. आता माही सटक गया, आता माही सटक गया, आता माही सटक गई. पानी छोड़ो. ओम मैंने एक बार कमिटमेंट कर दी तो मैं खुद भी नहीं सुनता. सहस्त्र कोटि देवाय. सलमान खाना है नमः. शाहरुख खाना है नमः. आमिर खाना है नमः. मनमोहन सिंह उवाच. मेरे डिक्शनरी में इम्पॉसिबल शब्द ही नहीं है. एक बार प्रणाम करो. मनमोहन सिंह उवाच नहीं, शाहरुख खान उवाच. मेरे डिक्शनरी में इम्पॉसिबल शब्द ही नहीं है. एक बार प्रणाम करो. मनमोहन सिंह उवाच. मेरे डिक्शनरी में कोई भी शब्द नहीं है. 10 बार प्रणाम करो. ओम स्वाहा. Then I say, I also can do with songs. I'll do a thing. Mahashay, can you think of a good song that I can use as a thing? He said, Munni Badnaam Hui. So I say, okay, Om Swaha, Munni Badnaam Hui, Munni Badnaam Hui, Munni Badnaam Hui. महाशय, आदर की पवित्र भावना से मुन्नी को कपड़े पहनाने की भावना से हाथ लगाओ. देन ऐसे मैंने कहा आदर की पवित्र भावना से मुन्नी को हाथ लगाओ. आप कहाँ पे हाथ लगा रहे हैं? हाथ छोड़ दो. Then he moves his hand like this and I say, darling तेरे लिए, darling तेरे लिए. That's it, it works. Nobody listens to it. So I do this 5-minute thing in the place so everybody can go and change the clothes for the second.
So, moving on from your theatre, you did something in the political space where you conceptualized Atal Bihari Vajpayee's poem "Unki Yaad Kare" into an entire video. What was the process, and how was the experience interacting with a statesman like Vajpayee? Because he was somebody who was very particular about his poetry,
Yeah,
and somebody who had a fantastic recall.
yeah.
So, how was that experience being with
See, I'll tell you one thing. I have been listening to all political speeches since my young age. George Fernandez on Chowpatty, Indira Gandhi, Vajpayee ji, whoever came that time. So I was very fond of listening to all these speeches. I used to go and stand at Chowpatty in Mumbai. When Vajpayee ji was the Prime Minister, they had taken 2 of his poems and they wanted to make videos of that. So the first poem they gave to Yash Chopra, and he made a fantastic film with Shah Rukh Khan reciting that poem. And the second one they gave to me, and they showed me what Yash ji had done. What do you think of this? It is fantastic. I said, as only Yash ji can make. I said, this is damn good cinema. It's not good communication. Because when you use something like Shah Rukh Khan, it becomes a Shah Rukh Khan film. Nobody gives a damn who the poet is. When Shah Rukh Khan is, Amitabh Bachchan is singing it, it becomes Amitabh Bachchan's film. I said, I can do a film on this, but I will not use a film star. I could have used any film star because it's not a commercial. It's a thing for the Prime Minister.
Right.
So I used a little girl from Tamil Nadu, and my concept was of a little girl who is selling flags on the road. And then one flag flies off, and then she goes and picks it up, and she goes all over the country, different communities, and finally goes and gives it to Vajpayee ji. And I said, on one condition, I'll do it, that I want to shoot Vajpayee ji writing this poem. It was just an excuse. I wanted to meet him. So they gave me permission. It was 4 of us to go to the Prime Minister's house in Delhi. And you wouldn't believe the experience. He had just had his new operation that time. And I used an advertising trick. What we do in advertising is if you have a jingle, we loop it up. So if you go and talk to a client, we keep playing that in the background. So when the client hears it 10 times, it plays something, he remembers it, he likes it. I said this entire thing, it was, the music was done by Naushad ji, it was sung by Hariharan. And I got Priyadarshan to direct the film. I said, keep the jingle going. I'll sit with Vajpayee ji and explain to him the concept. I had a show that evening in Mumbai at NCPA. So I said, look, I have to finish all this and leave by 3 o'clock. They said, Vajpayee ji has given you time at 11:30. He'll come on the dot. At 11:30, that man came and sat down on a chair and sat next to him. The song was going on in the background. And I was explaining the story. You wouldn't believe this. This is the Prime Minister of a country who's facing all the problems, Pakistan and whatever internal problems. He had a minority government also.
Yes.
New operations. I finished my narration to him, sitting down. He patted me on the back and said, अच्छा है, लेकिन इसमें मेरी कविता की सारी पंक्तियां आपने ली नहीं हैं. We had dropped some lines from that poem. तो I said, हाँ सर, वो थोड़ा लंबा हो रहा था ऐसे. लेकिन वो भी कविता की पंक्तियां अच्छी थी. तो आई आस्क्ड हिम, सर आपने कब लिखी है कविता? पता नहीं 40 साल पहले लिखी होगी। आई सेड, हियर इज अ मैन द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ अ कंट्री, all the problems, and he remembers that from a poem written 40 years ago, the 4 lines haven't been included in that song.
Right.
That's a true poet. You know, you are so attached to every line that you write, and it was fantastic experience. And he said, ऐसे नहीं जाओ, हम लखनऊ के हैं, इनके लिए खाना ले आओ, समोसे और कुछ ये ले आओ. So I told that ADC of his, I said, मेरा flight है, I have to catch a flight. He said, do you know where you are sitting? You're sitting in the Prime Minister's house. हमारे लिए फ्लाइट रुकेगी वहाँ पे. Till you board the flight won't take off. आराम से खाओ बैठ के. So thankfully we caught the flight, but it was an amazing experience.
But you also have coined a slogan that is responsible for us having the current Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. It was used by Donald Trump for his campaign in 2016. It was used by David Cameron for his campaign in the UK. And it was also used by the Australian Prime Minister in Australia, which is Ab Ki Baar. In India, we use Modi Sarkar. Trump uses said Trump Sarkar. How did that happen?
But can I tell you, it's not a great line, very honestly. That time when we were writing this, I was not a part of the committee in that Delhi committee. I was writing it and sending it to somebody here who was on the committee. That time we didn't know Modi was the candidate for prime ministership. So the lines were, अब की बार बीजेपी सरकार, अब की बार सुषमा सरकार, अब की बार जेटली. We didn't know who was going to be the nominee. जब जब कांग्रेस आई है, कमर तोड़ महंगाई है, all these kinds of lines were written. Then the Modi line was written and approved. Honestly speaking, I don't think it's a great line because you can remove the name Modi and put whatever. You can put Trump, you can take whatever you want. A great line which wasn't written by me was when Bajpayee ji was fighting the election. It said, "Ab ki bari Atal Bihari." That line won't stand without Atal Bihari's name.
Right.
Ab ki baar Modi Sarkar you can use any name and it will stand. Or the old line, "Andhere mein ek prakash, Jai Prakash, Jai Prakash." Those were great lines. Ab ki baar Modi Sarkar is fine. It became popular,
but can you say safely that you are one of the reasons why we have Donald Trump as a president and all the problems in the world today? Because he used Ab Ki Baar Trump Sarkar quite.
I should be blamed for that. I supported Trump and I thought he was a good guy. I also supported Mamata Banerjee. I am a fool, you know. Never take my advice on political matters. I was a huge supporter. I said Mamata Banerjee, only woman who's nobody's daughter, wife, sister, only woman fighting and winning. Fantastic. Trump says what he means. He's fantastic. I support all the wrong guys. I do all the wrong things in my life. I did not do Gadar as a film. I was offered Gadar as a film on a platter. Anil Sharma called me to his house for dinner and said, मैं एक फिल्म बना रहा हूँ गदर, पाकिस्तान किस पे है, सनी देओल है, उसमें एक रोल है पाकिस्तान जनरल का, वो आप करो, हम आपको उर्दू सिखाएंगे. I said, सर मेरी एजेंसी है, मैं इतना दिन छोड़ के नहीं आ सकता. I refused Gadar, which became the biggest hit. I did Veer, which was the biggest flop. So Anil Sharma again called me and he said, आपने गदर के टाइम ना बोला था, अब मैं ना नहीं सुनूंगा. ये सलमान जी की फिल्म है, आपके सब दोस्त हैं इसमें, सलमान है, जैकी श्रॉफ है, फिर मिथुन चक्रवर्ती है, सब आपके दोस्त हैं. ऐसे सर मेरी एजेंसी है, मैं जयपुर में आके शूट नहीं कर सकता. इसे मेरा कॉन्सेप्ट तो सुनो. ऐसा बोलो लेकिन आई कैन लीव मुंबई एंड गो शूटिंग. He said, this is a story of a Pindari tribe. They are a wild tribe. वो बस घोड़े पे हॉर्स राइडिंग करते हैं. I am an expert horse rider. I did all the stunts in that film myself. So he said, घोड़े की सवारी है, दिन भर घोड़े पे घूमते हैं. ये लड़की को उठाया, चूमा छोड़ दिया, उस लड़की को उठाया, चूमा छोड़ दिया. ऐसे चलो मैं साइन करता हूँ सर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. So I signed the contract. There was no girl anywhere within 5 miles of me. So on the last day I went to Anil ji and said, sir, I'm thankful. बहुत मजा आया. 2 चीज हुई मुझे. एक तो हॉर्स राइडिंग करने को मिला to my life. Every day I would ride. And they had given me hair like that, you know, at the back. So वहाँ पे in the shooting thing they have these big fans. The hair flies. So I said, first time in my life I could say, fan बंद कर यार, बाल उड़ता है. I said, because of you I got that chance. But कोई लड़की नहीं थी सर. किसी का वो रह गया, next film में देखते हैं. तो हुआ नहीं.
But you know, you shared space, screen space with some of the biggest names in the Indian film industry. Whether it's Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, or people from down south like Rajnikant, Mammootty, Mohanlal. what has been your experience for that? And before you say anything about it, uh, because you work with Mohanlal and Mammootty, I remember when my children were born and we were in the hospital, we had all Kerala nurses there. And one thing that I would always go and show them is your photo with Mammootty and Mohanlal
Yeah.
to say that my uncle is acted with them.
Well,
We will
most
get
of the
best
nurses are
service.
Malayali, so you get best treatment.
We'll get the best treatment from
Yeah.
them. But how is it working with all of these people, especially with a person like Rajnikant, I would say? Because he is one of the most unique actors that we have in this country.
See, with Rajnikant, we can talk for the next 1 hour. I have never met in my life, in any field, a man who's so big in his field and so humble in everything. I mean, I can give you a few examples. I was shooting in Mysore. I had about 17 days of shooting. I was playing the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, and Rajnikant was my opponent. And they picked me up from Bangalore airport and took me to Mysore and put me in the worst ramshackle lodge they can put me in. You know those lodges that you have outside railway stations and things? That kind of a lodge. And they said, sir, आप बैठो यहाँ पे, शाम को रजनी सर आएंगे 6 बजे, उनका शूटिंग चालू है, and then he'll see you. तो वो आएंगे यहीं यहीं पे मिलेंगे आपको. You wouldn't believe this. He was staying in the room next to my room. At 6, that guy came and said, Rajni sir has come. He's calling you. I thought I'll know and knock on his door and his secretary will come and say, Baitho, sir ko bulata hai. He himself opened the door. I didn't recognize him. This dark guy in a banyan, thin guy, white hair, bald. I'd never seen him like that. I've always seen him with full hair and thing. And I have a habit of sitting like this. He was sitting like this in front of me and talking to me. At some point, I realized that he's sitting like this. Even I came in the front. He said, Bharat, you have a room in the Palace Hotel where Amrish Puri and Manisha Koirala are staying. You can, if you want, go and stay there. I stay here because this lodge belongs to my friend. When I was a conductor in Bangalore, he was the owner of this lodge. He's my friend. If I don't stay here, he feels bad. So that his old friend from Bangalore won't feel bad, he stays in that lodge. He wouldn't stay anywhere else.
And that's humility. I mean,
Then he was sitting, we were having lunch one day. He's sitting at the head of the table. There's Amrish Puri and Manisha Koirala and whoever else. And suddenly looked at the door. He got up, ran there, got hold of a guy, brought him inside. He was in a khaki uniform with a badge. He made him sit on his chair, stood behind him. He got him a plate. He's saying, this is my friend. He was driver, 84 number bus. I was conductor. He's my friend. He looks better than me, na? We said, yeah, he looks better than you. He made that guy sit there and stood behind him. A guy he knew 40 years ago as a driver of his bus. You don't get people like this.
you don't.
This
And-
kind of humility, you don't get.
And especially in today's time where you have actors, uh, going around with entourages and demanding 6 trailers for themselves and things
Yeah.
like that. And on the other hand, you have somebody like him who stays in
Yeah.
a lodge or belong to a friend.
And today in Bollywood, if a film runs till Monday, it's considered a hit. If Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I had one more day shooting left when they called me in Chennai after 2 months after the shooting was over. And they said, sir, can you come to Chennai for half a day? I said, I finished my shooting. He said, no, sir, what has happened is when we were editing the film, we realized that anybody who's insulted Rajni sir has got beaten up. Only you haven't got beaten up. So you have to come to get beaten up. So I said, I'll come in the morning. Night shot. Hai. I said, but if Rajni sir is there, I'd like to meet him. I'll come in the morning. You wouldn't believe this, Harsha. I am sitting there they were doing some setting and all that. There were about 400 people waiting to see him. And I was sitting and talking to him. One old man from that crowd came up to me and said, sir, can you find out when this film is getting released? I said, I'll find out. Go away. He went. I forgot. After about half an hour in that blazing sun, he was waiting there. He came back again. He said, sir, have you found out? I said, no, you go, I'll find out. So I called the production guy. I said, when is this film getting released? He's saying on Dashera Day or whatever. Why? I said, no, because there's a guy standing there who I think wants tickets. Help him out, because he's come twice. He said, point that guy to me. So I said, that guy there. He said, he doesn't want tickets. He's got a rickshaw stand in one of the theatres, cycle stand in one of the theatres in Chennai, and a tea stall in one more theatre. And he's got 2 daughters to get married. The day a Rajnikant film gets released, He knows in 2 months he'll make enough money to get both his daughters married.
Wonderful.
Because Rajnikant films have 10 shows in a day, from 7 in the morning to 2 in the night. And I saw that personally I was shooting another Tamil film in Coimbatore. It started raining, so they said shooting is off. Go and sit in the hotel. I was sitting in the hotel, nothing to do. I didn't know anybody there. Pouring outside. There was that film Enthiran, Robot,
Yes.
which had got released some 3 months ago in Coimbatore. Big theatre. So I told that hotel guy, can I get tickets for that? I have a car, so I'll go. He said, no, sir, full. But if you go there, you may get an extra ticket. I said, okay, when are you getting bored here? 9:30 show. I reached the theatre at 9 o'clock. There was water up to here. There's people there, lungis up, the saris up, they were walking in. I was waiting there. Someone recognized me and said, sir, you acted with in a film called Baba with Rajni sir. I said, yeah. He said, you want ticket? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, he got me a ticket. The 9:30 show started at 11:30. And I couldn't figure out why till I sat inside. Every time Rajnikant came on the screen, they stopped the film and people danced and they threw flowers and all that. So my 9:30 show got over at 2:30 in the night. Because every time he came on the scene, they would stop the film. That people would stand up and dance and throw flowers and things. The next show was at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's the kind of popularity that guy has. And he's so humble.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I think we have a paucity of time. So if we throw the floor to the audience, if there are any questions that you would like to ask. Anyone for questions? Okay, we have one question there. If we could get him a mic, please. We'll get you a mic.
Mostly I get asked two questions. Do you shave every morning and how do you build your biceps?
Thank you for a very nice interview. My question is, what are your views on cockroach Janata Party?
Sorry?
On cockroach Janata Party.
Cockroach Janata Party.
I launched HIT. Both black and red HIT I had launched. So my campaign was cockroach, cockroach, hit cockroach, no cockroach. They can use that.
Any more questions? I think there's one there. There's one here as well, up front.
Our question was, sir, प्रश्न समजून आता हे AI चे रिव्होल्यूशन आलं आहे. त्या रिव्होल्यूशनकडे तुम्ही कसं बघता?
He's right there, up front.
See, I'll tell you, AI is something, every new development that happens, most people who are experienced think that this will not work. AI will definitely work. AI is doing the kind of amazing stuff that you won't believe. I was talking to Mahesh Mandrekar that day, and he said, Bharat, the way AI is going, in another 1 year's time, I will not need actors or a set to make a film. I'll do it on my computer. So AI is going to work. It is going to be here. And as somebody says, AI will not replace jobs. People who know AI will replace jobs. So all of us must, I'm learning, I'm taking AI lessons. I'm not making a film, but I think it's something that you must learn. And something startling was said to me by the guy who's teaching me AI, that last year in America, somebody was working on AI and he decided to close it down. The AI refused to close down.
Oh,
He did not take the order. Then next day he decided that he'll pull the plug, so there's no electricity. AI had preserved power to continue. So AI is going to be there. AI is going to do great things. But yesterday I met somebody who said now there's a expensive application or some program which can tell you what has been written with AI and what has been written by human beings.
right.
People are using that program.
Yes.
But AI is going to be here and it's improving day by day. I was sitting with Mukesh Sharma, who was the director of Doordarshan.
Yes.
And we had a meeting and somebody came late. He gave a command to he's a director here at MIT.
Yes. In the Vishwashanti school.
So he gave a command saying, write a poem on Bharat Dabholkar, who was known for writing Amul Butter topical hoardings and doing plays. In 2 minutes, he got one full page of poem on me. Then he said, put that to music in a man's voice with trumpets and guitars. And in 2 minutes, AI made a whole
Yes.
song. So AI is doing all this. You can't ignore it. This is bound to come. We can't be ostriches and say it won't hurt us. It will
Yes.
be a part of our life.
I think we have one more question from here.
So it's a similar question regarding AI.
Yeah.
But it's a kind of guideline and the catchy phrases that we use for our and other ads. Do you think AI will ever be able to create those
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
catchy slogans?
Yes. Because if there is one guy sitting and writing those lines, AI is collecting information of these kinds from 10 lakh people. So AI can do a better line than I can do because there are 10 lakh brains working there. And they can do it much faster. That's a given. I mean, we can't deny that. That is bound to happen. It'll just mean that we have to learn AI, that's all. That we can do it ourselves. I'll give you an example. I have a client who manufactures plant protein for protein shakes. And I was sitting with him a year ago. He's a businessman, he's not an AI guy. And I said, look, since there are 135 brands of protein in the market, let's create a mascot for you, like we had for Amul butter or whatever. I said, let's create a mascot which is a nice, tough guy. Since you're a plant, we can make him green or whatever, green clothes. I said, I know these guys who used to write my Amul butter hoardings, do the drawings for them. I'll get it done for you. As I was talking to him, he was typing on some chat GPT, I don't know where. He's not an AI expert. This is a year ago. And in 5 minutes, he had 5 mascots created in front of my eyes. An ordinary businessman, year ago. And today, AI has gone way ahead of us. It's improving day by day. So they can create lines like this. They can write a play like I write. That's why I'm hurrying up and writing more and more plays now before it starts writing. like
Absolutely.
this.
So obviously, there's paucity of time. We can't take any more questions. But thank you so much for doing this today, and honestly, making me look like the most normal person in our family. So, yeah, thank you, and I'll hand it over to Ms. Ashima Agashe for the final place. Thank you.
Actually, enriching evening filled with insight, humor, honesty, nostalgia, and unforgettable anecdotes. It is now my pleasant duty to propose a vote of thanks. First and foremost, on behalf of everyone present here today, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to Sri Bharat Dabholkar for giving us far more than just an interview this evening. Through your stories and experiences, you remind us that creativity is not merely a profession, it is a way to live life. Your journey across advertising, theatre, writing, and leadership has inspired generations. And today's conversation allowed us to witness not only the public icon, but also the person behind this immense success. Thank you for your generosity, your wit, and your candidness. A very special thank you also to Advocate Harshavardhan Bhende for conducting this interaction with such warmth, intelligence, and grace. What made this conversation truly unique was the personal insight and comfort that you brought to the stage, allowing us to experience stories and moments that perhaps only a family member could have drawn out so naturally. A big thank you to President Rotary Pune for her role played from start to finish, not just for coming up with the idea, but ensuring that every plan is well conceived before it can be implemented. I'd also like to extend our sincere appreciation to the management of Pune Club for providing this wonderful venue and for their warm hospitality this evening. A heartfelt thanks to Mr. Varun Punjabi's team for the meticulous venue arrangements and seamless coordination that ensured the event was conducted so beautifully. A special word of thanks to the presidents of all the host clubs for their leadership, initiative, and efforts in making this evening possible. And finally, to the wonderful audience gathered here today. Thank you for your enthusiastic participation, your attentive presence, and the warmth with which you received every story and sentiment shared here on stage. Anything like this comes alive just as much because of the audience. With gratitude to everyone who contributed to the success of this memorable event, may I request President Rotary Pune to adjourn our meeting. Thank you, Sir. Thank you. Have a pleasant evening, everyone. Thank you and good night.